this, that the human form is the most important form there is, because humans question, why are we here? What is our purpose? Where did we come from? What is God? What is heaven? What is hell? Only humans ask these questions. Animals live instinctually. They just eat, sleep, mate, and defend. We humans, we do this as well. We also eat, sleep, mate, and defend. But we have a more developed intelligence. It's why we ask the question, what is the universe? We even try to go out there to find out what's going on out there. Where did we come from? What's our origin? Human beings do this, and it is right to do so. We all need to find out our origin, our past. Only then we can determine who we are, and what is our purpose here, and where are we headed. Yanti devan vrataha devan, pitri yanti pitri vrataha, bhutani yanti bhuteja, yanti majajino pema. In 926 of the Gita, Sri Krishna describes that whoever you leave this body at the time of death attached to, you attain that. If you get attached to the devas, the demigods, or what is known as the angels, then you will go to that celestial abode, of which there are 7 material heavens. And the highest is Brahma's abode, the creator, the material creator, empowered by the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. If you get attached to your family members, your ancestors, or your grandson, or your wife, or whoever you're attached to, we usually get attached to who we are most closely affiliated with, isn't it? Who we love the most, who we spend the most time with, and usually that is our family group. And so many wives have become their husbands in one birth, and many husbands have become their wives in one birth, and sometimes husband becomes the father becomes the son, and so on. Whoever we get attached to in our family group, we born among them again. And that applies to all human beings. Pitri vrataha, who gets attached to their familial group, they come back among them. And who worship ghosts and spirits. You know, there are many people who are into all kinds of worship. And so they become a ghost or a spirit. You get what you want. So you got to be careful what you want. And whoever worships the Lord and attains the divine Lord goes to his divine abode. And then they no more have to return to this temporary world where there are short-lived bodies that goes through birth, old age, diseases, and death. We attain a body like God's body. And we attain the living condition that God experiences. God is called Bhagavan. This word is derived from the root Sanskrit word bhaga, which means fortunate. Van means the one who is most fortunate. Who is most fortunate? Who is most fortunate has these 6 opulences. He's the most wealthy. You know, there are many wealthy people in the world, aren't they? But none owns the whole world, none owns the entire universe, only God owns everything. So God is obviously the most wealthy. God is the most famous, isn't he? Anywhere you go, you will hear about God. God is the most famous, and He's not only most famous in the earth, He is most famous among all the angels. Even the demons know Him. So God is the most famous, and He has unlimited knowledge. His knowledge is such that He knows past, present, and future. His knowledge is such that He has a specific power called Satya Sankalp, which means whatever He thinks should happen, must happen. If He thinks, let this universe be created, it happens. He don't need to get the materials and have the building, and no, He just thinks of it and it happens. And if He thinks, let it be dissolved, so it will happen. Satya Sankalpa. And He can move back in time, go back into yesterday, and He is here today, and He can go forward in the future. It's why His saints can prophesy. So God has unlimited powers, unlimited knowledge. God has unlimited strength. Who is strong as God? He is existing forever. He lifted a mountain called Govardhan with the pinky finger for 7 days and 7 nights without moving. God is also the most beautiful. We have all seen beautiful things. These things that we see here and we think are beautiful are just reflections of true beauty. In the spiritual sky, in the domain of God, that region where there is no need of sun or moon, where everything is self-luminous, there are the most beautiful of flowers, trees, creatures, buildings, architecture. We can't even imagine. And we can just take a little understanding that the propensity for the love of beauty is there in us all because we share that nature of God, the love of beauty. So God is the most beautiful. And God is the most renounced, meaning He is desireless. Why? Because there is nothing more for Him to gain. Since He has unlimited wealth, unlimited beauty, unlimited knowledge, unlimited strength, unlimited everything, He has unlimited, then He doesn't need anything. We who are lacking still, not knowing our true nature to be the soul, a child of God, we think we're the body, so we are still busy in the practice of acquisition and then spending the rest of our days in the preservation of what we have acquired. And missing this opportunity that the human form presents us, which is to link with God. To link means yog. That's where the word yoga comes from. To link, union with God. That's our purpose here. And that's the importance of the human form, to give us an opportunity to link with God, to attain God before we die. As the shloka said, Madhya jinopi mam, if you get attached to God before you leave this body, then you will go to God. Whoever you get attached to, you will go to. That's the rule. So how long have this process been going on of coming and going and coming and going? Sri Krishna said to Arjuna that never was there a time that you and I did not exist. And never shall there be a time that we will not exist. So you and I, the soul, children of God, because God is beginningless and eternal, we share that quality as well. We are also beginningless. And we are also going to exist eternally, just as God will. Why? Because God resides in each soul. God is the entire universe. He's the biggest of the big. In fact, He has a gigantic form called Karna Dakshay Vishnu. And the entire universes are a small part residing within him. Just as we are a scale model of this universe. We house over 50 trillion cells. Each cell is alive, and they go through mitosis, in which they separate into other cells. In other words, they born, they exist, they die, and they born and exist, they die, and they reproduce. So there's 50 trillion cells. Can you imagine that are well and alive in this body? And different cells have specific duties to perform in this body. In the same way, the universe is housed in the body of God. So, my dear aspiring souls, how long have we been existing? Since beginningless time. We have come and gone countless times. We have had billions of lives, and we have all lived in each of the species that there are 8.4 million species of birds, fish, animals, trees, worms. Every living thing we have passed through already, because the soul is 1/10, 1/10,000 the diameter of one of your hair. So that's how small the soul is, smaller than an atom. And God resides in the soul and empowers the soul by giving it consciousness. And all these qualities of God, such as intelligence, mind control, sense control, intelligence, knowledge, all of these qualities, memory, all come from God, because he resides in the soul. And Brahma, the highest heaven, we are living in about half of his day presently, which is about 2 billion years. The seventh Manu is reigning presently. There are 14 Manus in each day of Brahma. Brahma lives for 311 trillion years. It is presently his 50th year of existence. You all must have heard of space-time, time dilation. Right now, if you go outside, the sun is shining. That sunshine is 8 minutes old. Why? Because that's how long, traveling at the speed of light, it took for that ray of light which left the sun 8 minutes ago for you to see it right now. So the next closest sun to us is Alpha Centauri, Regius. And when you look up in the night sky and you look at that sun, you're looking at 4.2 light years ago. So there's time dilation. The further you go, you're looking back further into time. So my dear aspiring souls, Brahma's day is 4.5 billion years in duration. His night is of the same duration. Presently, it's about half of his day. In the beginning of his day, there was Swayambhu Manu. Each Manu, of which there are 14 of them, live for 306 million years, 720,000 years. Altogether, 14 times 306,720,000, you will get 4,320,000,000 years. That's just one day of Brahma. It's the 7th Manu right now. It's about half a day, and the 7th Manu, his name is Visvavat, and he is in his 28th cycle of the 4 ages. In each Manu's experience, there are 71 cycles of the 4 ages. Each of the 4 ages lasts for 4,320,000 years. So these figures are just to present to you how long we have been coming and going, birth, death, birth, death. Now, we have had this human form countless times, and we have not fully utilized its purpose, which is to attain God. And it's why we are here right now speaking to each other. So my dear aspiring souls, Naratano barambar milata nahi, Kabahunka kari karuna kar, Den Rideha Sansar. The scriptures say, Sri Kripaluji Maharaj says, that this human form will not be frequently given to you. After sojourning, after traversing birth after birth through countless species of life, God, out of His causeless mercy, Kabahunka Kari, Karunakar, out of His curseless mercy, because He's called Karuna Sagar, He's an ocean of mercy. So he thought it, let me give this individual soul an opportunity to once again try to attain divinity, to experience the divine life that will fully satiate an individual. We can never be happy, never mind how much of the world we accumulate, because it's all temporary and we are eternal. We will only be happy when we have the living condition that God has. And God is offering us that opportunity now. And only as a human, this is possible. This is possible as a human because the human go beyond what is eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And we have an ability to inquire. And we have an ability to come to the understanding that we are eternal souls and not the body. We have the right type of knowledge and intelligence, and our present situation is, as a human, we have a karmic account that we can then evolve. We can become better. And that's the two things that only humans have as an advantage beyond all other forms, including the angels. In the heavenly regions, you are only experiencing the merits of your good deeds when you go there. But just like a retired person, he uses the funds in his bank account, and when he uses it all up, then he cannot go to the bank again. In the same way, when the merits of your good deeds are exhausted in the heavenly regions, you get sent back to the earth, and not necessarily as a human. And when you go to hell, there you pay the consequences of your evil behavior, and then you get sent back here, not necessarily as a human, to once again go through the various species to evolve, and then finally God, out of His mercy, will give you another opportunity as a human, in which you have two great advantages. You have the right type of knowledge, and you have the ability to accrue karma, which is you can then do that which is good and offering it as a sacrifice, doing it for God's sake. Every act that is selfless will be considered something done for God. This evolves a spiritual being, a soul, to the platform where he can then attain the knowledge of God and then finally attain to God. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mameva e prapajante vasudevaha sarvamiticha samhatmasu durlabhaha. And after, in each life as a human, you develop your spiritual nature Each life, you acquire a higher and higher degree of spirituality. As much as you apply yourself in each life to be godly, that builds up. And at Bahunam Janmanam Ante, at the end of countless births, one attains the knowledge that it is God I'm looking for. Why it is God I'm looking for? Because another name for God is happiness. Ananda is what we want. Everything that we are doing, all that we are acquiring, the aim behind it all, the goal of all our pursuits is the pursuit of happiness. Only, that's our only pursuit. And after countless lives, we come to the understanding that it is God who is the source of happiness, the source of beauty, the source of strength, the source of knowledge. And then we will then make a concerted effort at the end of that last life to attain God. Samahatma Sudurlabha, such a great soul is rare indeed. So the purpose of this human life is to pursue happiness which can only be found in God. Ulato tangi bandi mukha garbahi samajaye ho jagasar. The Lord placed you in your mother's womb with your mouth fastened there. And you know, the first organ that is developed in a child that's in the womb is the anus. And because you need to evacuate the food that you're taking in through your mother's eating, that also needs to be processed within the body and evacuated. So that newborn child is, that baby in the stomach, in the womb, is living in its own urine, feces, and which is a perfect environment for breeding of worms that bite its tender skin. You don't realize the suffering you have gone through for 9 months in your mother's womb. You don't remember it because that's our nature. We tend to want to forget negative things. And in that condition, you are praying fervently. The soul is praying fervently, oh Lord, help me out of this perilous condition that I'm in. You're folded up like a ball in your mother's womb. And then, Dina Jnana Jabu, Kinha Pratigyaha, Bhajehu Nanda Kumar. And out of his causeless mercy, the Lord who resides with the soul and is undisturbed by what you and I, the soul, is going through. God is in the same place you are, but he experiences none of this, for he is beyond that. He's not experiencing the suffering of you and I. You and I are experiencing that suffering. But because he is there, he gives you the knowledge of your past lives, your present condition in the womb, and he even shows you what will happen when you take birth. And knowing that you have lived for countless lives already and have suffered this condition of being in a womb countless times, you became terrified of the thought that I will try to get out of this. God tells you, he gives you the knowledge. He said the purpose of this human form is to transcend material short-lived bodies and go to his divine kingdom. And you made a promise. You said, yes, Lord, when I come out of this condition, I will use this life only to attain you. You made that promise. But what happened? Bhuli gayo so dasha bai puni. Bhuli gayo so dasha bai puni jo rahi garbha majar. However, when you came out of your mother's womb, everybody starts to tell you that this is your brother, this is your sister, this is your father, this is your auntie, this is your mother. And then you start to identify as a human body. And you forget as you grow older, with the false identity of thinking yourself to be the body, you forget that you are an eternal soul, a child of God. And therefore you start to live for the sake of the body, because you only continue to desire in regards to the body, and you desire nothing for yourself, you the soul. And you keep forgetting, living in forgetfulness. This is the greatest ignorance we live in. So what will happen? Jorahi Garbha Majar, you will once again be forced into another womb and go through the same torture that you've been through countless times already. Yaha Kripalu Naratana Sura Durlabha. Naratana Barambar Milata Nahi. You see, the Lord is saying, the mercy of having been given this human opportunity, this human form by which you can attain God and live in God's divine kingdom in the condition, in a body just like God's body, in perfect knowledge of yesterday, today, and tomorrow, in a body that never grows old, with excellent beauty that never fades, never decays. God is willing to give you His living standard. And even the angels desire this opportunity. But this opportunity is only given to human beings. It's not given to angels, because they have to wait out the duration of the end of the day of Brahma. And then they will get the opportunity to come. We, in 80 of the first heaven's days, which is 80 years of our time, we can use this body, if we do, to attain God, and then we can attain God easily. That's the purpose of this human form. My dear aspiring souls, think of it and try to utilize this form to know who God is. When you know who God is, you certainly will get attached to God, and you will love God, because He has everything that you want. Thank you for joining me. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. मैं तो राधे राधे गाऊं कालिंदी तट पर, वो तो भजो चलूं, वो तो वंशी वट पर।
That was a paid program, and the views and opinions expressed are those of the host and other speakers, and do not reflect the views and opinions of TVG Channel 28.
There is a reason why TVG Channel 28 is Guyana's #1 television station. We are the home of one of the nation's most watched television newscasts, The Evening News, with an unmatched national reach, the best in children's content, music, movies, and daily soaps. We plan with the viewer at heart. In partnership with cable provider Northwest TV Incorporated, we reach as far as Port Kaituma in Region 1, as well as from Charity to Supanam in Region 2, among other hard-to-reach interior regions. As such, we can guarantee the high